Hey, what's up, card fighters? BOCCG here, and I finally did want to post my GANDEEVA mask deck profile. I've been kind of like tinkering with like the flex spot of this deck for a while now. I wasn't exactly sure what to put in that like 4 to 3 card slot, and I'm still not super 100% sure, but I at least have like a cohesive reason that adds on to the deck instead of like if I draw this card when I need stuff, like it just doesn't do anything for the strategy. It's more of like an add-on instead of like more of like an extender or pseudo consistency piece. But yeah, let's get on to the deck profile. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're gonna have more videos like this in the future. I want to bring back deck profiles, man. I feel like there's not enough deck profiles in this community anymore, and it really saddens me, man, because like, how are people supposed to know about these decks if people don't post deck profiles on them? And yeah, I know you have Dexander. Yeah, I know you have VG Paradox and all that other good stuff. But man, like, bring back the bread and butter deck profiles, bro. People really loved this stuff back in the day. But yeah, let's get on to the deck. We're using the full GANDEEVA ride line. I wanted to stay true to the strategy and use the entire ride line. This deck can be hurting for soul depending on the combination of your hand. So more often than not, especially if you're going first, your opponent will choose not to overextend into you to prevent you from getting the ride up. But there are certain decks that don't care, like Raziel, for example. Raziel doesn't mind just leaving 2 cards on board extra. And you'll pull this out as a booster, which it doesn't really matter. Like, either way, you're getting something, but preferably you want this to stay in soul. So yeah, let's get into the rest of the profile here. I'm gonna go over the mask engine first, since this is like the biggest chunk of the deck, basically. 4 copies of GANDEEVA Mask. 3 copies. Let's see how far we can go here. Ooh, that glare is terrible. Let's just leave it here then. 3 copies of regular GANDEEVA. I really like this deck because it reminded me of what Omnigrusia playstyle was, to whereas you wanna do GANDEEVA's effect, ride into Mask, do Mask's effect, and then next turn ride into GANDEEVA, do GANDEEVA's effect. And essentially you're just like looping rides, which was really a really interesting playstyle of Masks that a lot of Mask decks didn't get to utilized very well, just because of what the base grade 3 did. But like they complement each other in that way, that more often than not, that's what you want to do. You want to go into the OG, do OG skill, then go into Mask and then do Mask skill, and just loop that again next turn. We're running 3 copies of the Mask itself. I was initially just running 2 instead of 3, but there was certain games where I just didn't see my Mask searcher. I didn't see my grade 3 searcher. I didn't see Masks in my grade 3 searcher, and I lost those games because this deck is very much it's Mask or bust. That's how you procure your advantage in this deck, is just by going into the Mask. This deck actually wants to go first, believe it or not. You want to Mask on your opponent while in the early game on grade 2 and just take advantage and draw up on them and just have a crit Vanguard for no reason. Because you can get off a lot of free draws if you go first. This deck does want to go first. It can go second, and it is rewarded for going second, but this deck does prefer to go first if given the option. But going on to the rest of our support cards. 4 copies of the new Dragon Tree Wretch. This is a 1-card mask, which is insane. That this essentially plus this is a 1-card mask. This Energy Blast 3 on place, it gets you the mask, and then you can CB1 bind it. If you have 1 or less of this in the bind, you can just straight up search for your mask, your GANDEEVA mask, and add it to your hand. This is literally a 1-card mask for 1 energy, 1 counterblast. This is insane. It is insane. If you see this in your opening hand, it gives you better mulligan options, because now you can mulligan extra masks and extra GANDEEVAs away, whether normally you would keep those in hand. This is like a bridge of the mask engine, a really good bridge. Dragenesis what Dragenesis Gehem does, if you have a Scarlet Flame Vanguard, it's on place, Soul Blast 1, look at top 7 cards of your deck for a grade 3 without Regardless piece, add it to hand, reveal it, add it to hand. If you added a card to hand, bind a card face down. This is really nice to help you with your binds and just help that this is like an additional consistency piece on top of your new Dragon Tree Wretch. Like, man, these cards like really make the deck super cohesive. You still have a chance for bricking. This is like the most cohesive a Mask deck has ever been, but there is still the chance of bricking, of course. But you're just playing these at these copies just because it just gives you the best chance. If we could feasibly play Mask at 4, I would play Mask at 4 and not feel too bad about it, but unfortunately we just can't. It has to be at 3. I feel comfortable with at 3. 4 would be definitely way too much, especially for like the way this deck plays. And this combos really well with your restanders and your multi-attack extenders as well. And he feeds Soul. He's just like an excellent bridge between the Mask engine and then what the rest of the deck wants to do. Let's go over the staples first, at least for GANDEEVA. Dragenesis Diaphragm and Dragenesis Alifar. Alifar is your multi-attack extender, going second. Dragenesis Diaphragm is your multi-attack extender no matter if you went first or second. Like, if you are masking on your opponent going first, drawing your cards, and dropping a Dragenesis Diaphragm on your opponent, like, you are just exuding, especially like you'll have a marker to make it bigger, and like that front row pump from GANDEEVA Mask. It's just, man, this is such a good multi-attack extender for this deck. Oh, man. The fact that this deck has 8 multi-attack extenders, oh, man, it's so good. It is so good. It makes it towards this deck is good going first or second. Oh, man. Granted, this is still a piece-heavy deck, a piece-reliant strategy, but man, does this deck feel so good to run. It feels so clean. Of course, you only get the restand off of Diaphragm if you had nothing to retire with Diaphragm, but the way that GANDEEVA and GANDEEVA Mask works is generally, once you do those skills, your opponent's board should be wiped clean, generally speaking. And then this is the flex spot that I was telling you guys about that I wasn't too sure what I wanted to put here. It's really like, honestly, this 4 cards flex spot, like 5 card if you really want to cut a Mask, but I feel more comfortable with Mask at 3 after like the playtesting I have done with this deck and taking it to local tournaments. We're playing 1 copy of Dragenesis. Free my homie Stratos, bro. Free Dragenesis, man. He honestly, he did nothing wrong. I don't know why he's still on the ban list. He's limited at 1, but we are playing him at 1. He is searchable off of our grade 1 top 7 searcher, which is actually pretty dope, to be honest, that you can search out Dragenesis. He's just an extender. So he's a nice to have, not a need to have. Honestly, if he was at 4, I probably wouldn't play him at 4. I would either play him at 1 or just play him at 2 at most. This deck is running a lot of grade 3s, and you feel it. Well, I think it's running like 11 or 12 grade 3s, which is not too much in the grand scheme of it, but the way that this deck just pulls all the grade 3s into your hand, it feels like a lot. But yeah, 1 copy of Dragenesis. Nothing much to say here about this guy. He's a good way to get 2 binds, but we're not too concerned about getting that magic number of 5 cards and binds on our first grade 3 turn anymore. Mask doesn't care about that. He gives you the crit for free, which is nice. He doesn't get to keep the crit, but it's like after a certain point, it's whatever. The fact that he just gives you the crit for free is very nice. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Flarebow Dragon. This is another card that like I'm attempting to use as like a pseudo bridge to get our Mask engine online and to basically like a pseudo bridge to the rest of the cards of our deck, because its on-play skill is on place during the main phase. If you have a GANDEEVA Vanguard, CB1, retire rear guard. Then if you didn't retire rear guard, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, superior call 1 to a rear guard, and then discard the rest. So like it gives you fuel, and it can theoretically get you into Mask depending if you get the grade 1 or grade 2. It can theoretically get you into one of your multi-attack extenders. But it's not the best card in the world, most definitely. But I've found that with this deck, I really don't use that much Counterblast. My Counterblast is solely used for Alifar and GANDEEVA. on his second, on my second GANDEEVA ride. When I ride back down to regular GANDEEVA, that's when I'm using my Counterblast. So we do have the space to play Flare Bow Dragon. I honestly, maybe the call is to play 4 Dragengas if we did have it, but that might be a little bit too crazy, to be honest. But yeah, let's get to the rest of the staples of the deck. 3 DPGs, nothing much to say here. 1 Elementaria of Sanctitude. There's a lot of Stride decks running around right now, unfortunately, which I'm not a big fan of Stride decks. They're okay to play against. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of the Stride mechanic in D. I was a fan of Stride when Stride was out, when everybody could do it, but like fighting against a Stride deck is just really feels bad, especially when you win the die roll and knowing that like not that they can't win going first, but they're all in on going second because they have to go second. You know what I mean? But yeah, 1 of the Dragon Empire Overtrigger. It makes sense. We have a crit Vanguard. 3 of the 20k shield fronts instead of the into soul fronts. You actually build a lot of soul with this deck. You use a lot of soul, but you have the ability to build a lot of soul with this deck that I haven't felt like I needed the soul fronts, but that's just me. 4 of the into soul crits. Better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. 4 regular crits. And then 4 regular heals. So that is my GANDEEVA Mask deck profile. I don't know if there's anything in here that's too expensive. I don't know if there was any like real GANDEEVA hype at all. But I would say this is like a bottom solid of tier 2 deck. I think you could definitely like take this to a locals and do fairly well with it. But outside of a locals, I don't think GANDEEVA can be a cohesive strategy that you can actually rely on to try and get like a major top, in my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong. I could be like downplaying it more than I actually have to, because when this deck pops off, it is really nasty. But at the same time, it's one of those decks to where it's like it's very piece heavy. You need a certain combination of cards to do certain things. You're a little bit reliant on what your opponent throws down. So that is my final thoughts on GANDEEVA Mask, guys. Definitely a fun one to play, and I would recommend to give it a shot if you are able to. Very fun deck to play, in my opinion, of course. But again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I will see y'all on the next one. Later.